Hi, welcome to the Crates Motel. My name's Conan. Following on from my last video of old school techniques, today we're going to look at the 16 levels function in the MPC. Now, Roger Lynn first introduced this in the MPC 60, which is where I first used it in the late 80s. But the function really blossomed in the 90s and is all over that golden era hip hop and house music. But yet again, like the low pass filter technique, its most common uses were born out of trying to find workarounds. Let's jump in. So I'm not going to go into the history of 16 levels today. There's a ton online about that. What I am going to do today is show you some real world situations, show you how I use it, and hopefully that'll inspire you to use it in those ways or find some of your own ways to use it. Now, the concept behind 16 levels is that you choose a pad and then you go into 16 levels, you have some options, and that will spread that one pad across the 16 pads. Now, there are several ways to choose your pad. You can choose it when you're in the main screen. I've got a bunch of samples here, some instrumentation, a bass sound, some drums, and a horn. So you can choose which pad you want to use 16 levels with, and you can just go into 16 levels. Other ways that you can choose the pad is you can scroll through here, or you can hold 16 levels and choose whichever pad you want to use. Up here you have different options on how you're going to use your 16 pads. Now, there's a lot more compared to the original legacy MPCs. Mostly it was tuning and velocity, but now we have way more options. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run through those options very quickly and give you some kind of uses for those. So obviously the first one is velocity. That's the one that most people know, and that's the one that's used in a lot of hip hop tracks. So if we choose the horn sound, so with velocity obviously it will play it at different volumes, so you can create that kind of echo sound, classic hip hop. But also you can use it on drums. Let's use it on a hi-hat for instance, and if you were programming drums to give it more of a human feel, because obviously a real drummer doesn't hit his hi-hat or her hi-hat at constant levels, it fluctuates. So that kind of introduces a little bit of humanization in your drums. It's also good for, say, for snares, if you want to do kind of ghost snares. So you could use it like that, and also you could use it on kick drums for ghosting as well. So always, that's really good for programming. So let's go into the horn again. The next option is tuning. Now what that does is it sets up tuning chromatically across the 16 pads, and you can choose here the original pad on where the original sample pitch would be. So in this case I've got it on 8. I think by default it's on 4. Let's change it there, but I have it on 8 because it gives me a little bit more options below. So let's go back to 8, and basically it spreads it out across, so you can basically play tunes, you know. Not the best tune in the world. Moving on, we have filter. Now this wasn't available in the MPC 60, and basically what it does is gives you options to filter the sample. So for snares, that's good for kind of build-ups, that kind of thing. Moving on to layer. Now layer's not one that I've actually used myself, but what I think it does is when you have layers set up on your sample, it will basically play those different layers. I'm assuming, I mean this is total assumption here because like I said I haven't used it on layer, so please comment below. I'm guessing that maybe if you have your 4 different layers, it will play those 4 layers at different velocities. I'm guessing that's what it is. Try it out. Attack's really useful. I think we've got that on snares, so it will affect the attack of the sample. So if we go into so that can be very useful. Decay obviously does the opposite. So if we choose the snare here, you can hear there's a little bit of vinyl noise at the end of that. So up there it kind of gets rid of some of it, and there it doesn't. So, you know, with things like hi-hats, 808s, boom kicks, you could use that for, so you've got like a long tail on it and you could shorten the tail quickly. So again, really useful for drum programming. Probability is good for drum programming, and basically what it's doing, there's a probability option in the MPC, and again it's humanizing. So if we were to choose hi-hats, it's not always going to hit the hi-hat. So again, you know, it kind of gives you that human feel. I haven't really used it, to be honest. I prefer to have a little bit more control over my drums, but you know, I can see that being useful in certain situations. And then finally, Ratchet. This will be very useful to people that make drill and trap, that kind of stuff. It's kind of like the note repeat. And the final one, you know, if you were to put an 808 hi-hat in there, you could use that in your drum programming. So that's quite useful as well. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to very, very quickly put a beat together and just show you how, by using 16 levels, you can manipulate your samples in the MPC standalone without a MIDI keyboard, without going into program edit, without messing around sample edit. Just very, very quickly build up a beat. It's not going to be perfect, it's just going to be something very, very quick with the samples that I've got on here. So we'll start with the kind of vibe sound. So there you have it. You can see how useful it can be, how quickly you can build up a beat or just a sketch. Now, I've only really used the velocity and the tuning, to be honest, because that's what I was used to in the 60, the 3000 and the 2000. But making this video has made me see some of the other options that are available in the newer MPCs, and there's just a lot more that you can do, and you can dig a lot deeper. I quite like the look of the attack and the decay. The filter looks pretty cool. I'm not sure how deep you can go in. I don't know if there's any way you can change what kind of filters you use or anything like that, but at a very basic level, it gives you the option to filter like build-ups with snare drums, and obviously the decay and the attack are really, really useful on drums. So it's definitely worth digging a lot deeper. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more mixing, mastering and MPC tutorials and reviews. This is the Crates Motel. My name's Conan. Till next time.